Welcome back to Wake Up America. Finland joined NATO yesterday in what is considered a major blow to Russia. For details, let's bring in former Air Force Brigadier General, NATO advisor, and Newsmax contributor Blaine Holt, along with our in-studio guests, Amir Benno, Mark Halpern, and Fred Fleitz. General, I'll start with you. So why is this move to NATO considered a bad thing for Russia?
Good morning. I wish I was there with you all. It's a bad thing for Russia because NATO just doubled its border with Russia. That was the exact thing that Vladimir Putin was trying to avoid. But we also gained a very formidable player. When I worked at NATO and throughout my Air Force career, the Finns have had nothing but a highly professional, very capable military, very capable Air Force. And so you have to wonder, is this one of those second and third order effects of fallout that the Russians didn't see coming? And they're quietly upset about it because this is a loss for Russia.
Fred, with Finland now officially a NATO member, Russia's warning it may take countermeasures. How seriously should this threat be taken?
Well, I agree with what the general said, but I would add that Finland did this knowing that Russia was going to threaten to retaliate. And this is a huge endorsement of the NATO alliance. Finland has more artillery than Germany, Poland, and Hungary combined. It has really a sizable military force. A much larger border with Russia now has been established, but Finland did this even knowing that Russia is going to threaten to retaliate, and I don't think this retaliation is going to come to anything.
Mark?
General Holt, you praise their capabilities. What kind of spending do they do in this issue of whether our NATO allies are contributing enough for their own defense? We've got a new NATO ally. How much do they spend now? Can we expect them to spend more?
Yeah, so Mark, I'm not sure what their current percentages of GDP are. I will tell you that when I was sitting at NATO, we would talk about Finland and Sweden about if they came in, they would already be meeting what we call the tuition requirements to be members of NATO. Finland right now is interested in increasing defense spending. They're shifting their governments to a more conservative place. But Mark, you raise a more interesting political question, which is how does this government now, the new Finnish government, change in relation to NATO? I would say you're going to find an active member that does not rubber stamp everything the alliance wants to do.
Fred, do you agree with what General Holt just said?
I think that's right. But, another issue here is why is Finland joining just now? It's been over a year that they've tried to get in. The reason is that Turkey and Hungary dragged their feet. Now, we understand why Turkey is delaying the membership of Sweden because they have differences over the PKK, which they consider a Turkish terrorist group. But Hungary's playing these political games, keeping both nations out because they're trying to negotiate with the EU. I don't know what their demands are. Sweden has to be added also. And I think that's something we need to get this administration to pressure Turkey. Stop playing games. We want Sweden in too.
Yeah. Amir?
Will our support of Finland joining NATO have any effect on the Wall Street Journal reporter, you think, who's being held there, we say wrongfully, in Russia?
Well, it's going to irritate the Russians more, but I think there's going to be intense pressure on Putin because the Russians know that the Wall Street Journal does not use reporters as spies. The U.S. does not use reporters as spies. That may have happened in the 1960s. There's an ironclad rule on that. Every nation on earth, every Western press service is getting after Putin. And I'm optimistic there will be progress on this. I just hope it's soon.
Yeah, General Holt, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken met with the NATO Secretary General yesterday in Brussels. Blinken's still there. What does he need to accomplish for the EU?
I certainly hope that both secretaries, the General Secretary and Secretary Blinken, are sitting down and having meaningful conversations about logistics and logistics support to Ukraine, but also making sure that the balance is struck between NATO readiness, because NATO has lots of things going on in it around the world besides Ukraine. But honestly, we have to get to a strategic discussion about what is it we're trying to achieve in Ukraine, and do we have the means, the resources, and the will to achieve it? And I hope those two men are engaged in that heartily.
Fred, do you agree?
I think that's right, and there's going to be increasing pressure on this administration to come up with a peace plan with an end game. China has one, Ukraine has one. I think the French and the Germans and the Brits may have one soon. There's support for Ukraine right now, but Congress wants to know from President Biden, how will this end? What is your plan to get us out of it? We're not going to provide this level of military aid indefinitely to Ukraine.
Yeah, General Holt, you think there's going to be more pressure for Finland to put resources into Ukraine?
Yeah, I do, and I think that's going to affect Finnish politics. So now that they're a full-fledged member, once the honeymoon is worn off, and that'll take about another 72 hours, it will be, well, join the club, and how many tanks do you have to give to Ukraine? I think they've anticipated some of those requirements, but again, you've got a Finnish population right now that has, in its history, defeated Russia militarily twice. They'll be ready to give, but they're going to want to know how much and for how long.
General, I want to go back to the Finnish Air Force. I think I, along with a lot of our viewers, learned today how strong that is from you. Do they buy their planes from us?
They do. You know, when I started my Air Force career, it was a brand new thing for Finland to want to buy F-18s, and here they are retiring them. They're retiring them for 64 F-35s. And they're buying them at a really good time. So because the rest of the alliance is now going to the F-35, the Finnish have always wanted to be interoperable with us, and their pilots are ready to make that jump right now.
All right. Well, General Holt, you're more than welcome to come to the studio anytime. We love when you come and see us. So put it on your calendar.
It's there.
General Holt for Fleitz, thank you so much. Appreciate it.